Silicon Valley, the home of dreamers, billionaires, and world-changing code. Or so we think. But behind the glitzy apps and the legendary garage startups, this haven for the ultra-ambitious hides a much darker side. And the Tech Bro Murders Season 1 kicks off with a jaw-dropping true crime that shatters the myth of sunny, safe suburbia forever. In Episode 1, we're pulled into a brutal, baffling murder that fractures the delicate balance of Menlo Park, a town that once prided itself on neighborly warmth, unlocked doors, and old money charm, until Kathy Anderson's body was found savagely mutilated in her own home, and every cliché about Silicon Valley got flipped on its head. Let's roll it back. The show's voice of reason, retired Detective Sandra Brown, puts it simply: dreams of tech riches bring people here in droves, but not everyone can rise to the top, and for some, the letdown leads to unimaginable consequences. Kathy Anderson seemed like the last person this could happen to. The Sikh's a gentle gardener, community pillar, and retired arborist who'd prospered alongside her husband, Billy, in a beautiful old house that symbolized every heartwarming part of Menlo Park. When Billy died of leukemia, Kathy kept going, doing her best to stay strong and find some kind of joy. Friends like Pam describe Kathy as fun, loving, and warm. She had no kids, but people thought she'd make a great mother. In 2011, just as Kathy was easing into retirement, Facebook set up its new campus nearby, ushering in an era that changed everything. Suddenly, Menlo Park's leafy streets were teeming with young techies, and homes became eye-wateringly expensive. The old sense of community fractured a bit. But even as the pace of change unsettled Kathy and her friends, nobody could have predicted what was coming. Fast forward to December 12, 2018. At dusk, Menlo Park police receive a panicked 911 call: someone's been killed at Kathy's house. The voice on the line says not only that Kathy's dead, but that her killer is still inside. Sirens blaze. Officers arrive to find utter chaos. A middle-aged man emerges, crying and hysterical, shouting that the killer is inside. He's cuffed. Then a younger, eerily calm man steps out, silent and compliant. Both men are detained, and inside the house, police search in horror, finding a blood-smeared pillow at the staircase and Kathy's mutilated body in her basement. She was in pajamas, face down in a pool of blood, with a bloody saw nearby, and most disturbingly, a pen jammed into her eye, a detail so gruesome that even seasoned detectives are shaken. This was overkill, savage and nearly incomprehensible. The case rapidly centers on the two men at the scene. The older, raw-nerved Daniel Baggett claims he called 911 and had been in a relationship with Kathy. The other, Francis Wolk, is much younger, withdrawn, hostile, hardly speaking. Investigators are left stunned. How are these men connected to Kathy, and what in the world brought them into her home on the same night tragedy struck? The first break comes with Daniel Baggett's story. Through flashbacks and interviews, we learn he met Kathy at a bar in 2009, not long after her husband's death. Brash, maybe not the best fit, but Kathy was lonely and enjoyed the attention. Daniel had a young daughter, Haley, whom Kathy cared for, but Haley was troubled. Violence and theft crept into the house, and eventually, when Haley left for college, tensions remained high between Daniel and Kathy. Arguments escalated to the point where, in one heated encounter, Kathy actually brandished a gun at Daniel to get him to leave. An incident that got Kathy arrested, much to her embarrassment and worry. By 2018, their relationship had unraveled. But Daniel sometimes came back, clinging to hope for reconciliation, or perhaps something more. The police dig deeper. If this was a domestic dispute, Daniel is a natural suspect. There's no evidence he'd profit from Kathy's death, though, and after hours of interrogations and a meticulous review of his devices, his story checks out. He'd come by that evening after not being able to reach Kathy, noticed her car and trash cans out, a red flag, and used his knowledge of the property to sense something was wrong. After seeing a strange man coming from inside, Francis, he demanded answers, eventually holding Francis at knife point until officers arrived. Daniel never saw Kathy's body himself. Still, his behavior after being released raises eyebrows. He returns to the house, claiming to check on Kathy's cats, but is caught entering illegally, a tone-deaf but human move that only added to suspicions he was somehow involved. Ultimately, though, the evidence clears him. So what about Francis Wolk? Detectives uncover a sad, dark trajectory. Francis grew up in Ohio, the eldest of 8, a gifted and arrogant coder who dropped out of college to come west dreaming of tech stardom. Like so many would-be tech bros, he gravitated towards startup incubators and quickly befriended other aspiring programmers, including Daniel Gershovich of SpaceX. But Francis's star faded fast. His social skills alienated roommates, his work habits became obsessive and unhealthy, and before long, he was homeless, cut off by supportive but exhausted parents, forced back to Ohio. Yet, only days before Kathy's murder, surveillance and bus ticket records show Francis returned to Silicon Valley, desperate, penniless, and mentally unraveling. How he ended up in Kathy's home is, in a word, horrifying. Evidence from the scene is overwhelming. Kathy's blood is on his clothing. The murder weapon and pen match objects in his backpack, and there's no link between him and Kathy or Daniel. It seems Francis was just wandering, hungry, tired, and hearing voices. He enters Kathy's home, likely thinking it was empty. But when he finds Kathy, his delusions take over. He later tells authorities voices urged him to not bitch out. Time to join up, claiming he needed to kill and even consume Kathy's flesh to join the fabled 1%. The tech world elite he so desperately wanted to join. The savagery of his attack, the pen in the eye, the beheading attempt, matched his psychosis and his warped belief in the dark rituals of Silicon Valley's elite. Francis is ultimately tried and found guilty of first-degree murder. The insanity defense fails. Prosecutors show he knew what he was doing, given the protracted nature of the attack and the evidence of planning and self-control before and after the murder. He's sentenced to 26 years to life. The episode closes with a deep, raw sense of loss. Kathy's loved ones mourn her. Daniel, cleared but never quite celebrated, reflects that he did what he thought Kathy would have wanted, to keep her killer from escaping. And the broader narrative lingers. Dreams warped into nightmares, mythologies of power and wealth turning into dangerous, seductive fantasies. To wrap up, this shocking first episode lays out a dense, true crime mystery with a uniquely Silicon Valley flavor, the collision of ambition, mental illness, broken relationships, and the hidden dangers lurking beneath the veneer of tech success. Kathy Anderson's story is a heartbreaking reminder that, in the pursuit of the next big thing, sometimes real lives and dreams are shattered, not made. If you found this recap gripping, or have thoughts on the twists, the characters, or Silicon Valley's dark side, drop your comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button share with your true crime crew, and subscribe so you don't miss the next recap in this jaw-dropping series. See you in the next video.